It was just something he picked from a blog. But because I insisted, I want it formulated as a journal article. He now gave me APA style formatting, and I started looking for the paper, and it wasn't saying, well, then I became curious. Why did you do this? And I started searching until I found that just some information that was put on the blog, and because I kept insisting, so I went back to the AI and said, well, why did you do this? This doesn't exist. You wanted an article. If you know how to talk with AI, talk back to you. Like a friend. Sorry, well, you needed an article. That's the closest I could find to the article. I said, thank you, but this was wrong. And their program to be very polite. I'm sorry about that. But the hand is already done. So, yes. But with humans, we know everything in context. And hallucination is not something that happens to everyone, except probably one is bipolar. Okay. So, what should you strive for in your work in artificial intelligence? You're starting from a user. That's what most of us are going to do today. That's what we've been doing. And I hope that we can move from there to collaborators. So you're not just a user. You're bringing input. When you start doing prompt engineering properly, you're not just a user at that point. Are we together? Some people just type in anything, but if you know the skills, you know how to put your prompts properly, and then make some sample prompts, and we're going to look at how you can actually put your prompts properly. You're not just a user at that point. You have become a super user. You become a collaborator. Are we still making sense? Yes. Because you're bringing a lot to the table. You're giving detailed information. You're telling the AI, you're giving it a role. You're telling AI, act like this. And AI likes it when you give it a role. Don't just say, give me a report for this. No. Tell it who he is. At this point, you are the head of the statistics unit in the statistical bureau in Cross River State. And it's happening. It begins to gather information about statistical bureau in Cross River State. You've given it a role. Alright? So at this point, you're becoming a collaborator and then a creator. You're creating new content. You're creating new music. You're creating an agent that can solve problems, automating a workflow, and then you move on to be an agent builder. And for those of us that are computer science majors or AI experts or PhD students, I don't know, do I have any masters or PhD students in computing or AI or data science here? Okay, most of them, if you're online, just let us know that you're here. I know that most of my students are actually going to be here. You are actually also building algorithms. So you're not picking somebody's algorithm and just using it the way it is. No. You're fine-tuning it. You're adapting it. You're bringing it back home because your data sets are a little different. Am I making sense? So yes, you can pick existing algorithms, but you're tweaking it to suit your domain, to solve your specific problems. I'm told that there was a detector that was built. It was a facial detector. And then when it was deploying, for the blacks, there were a lot of errors on the system. And very simple things. What data was used for training this algorithm? That also matters. Are we together? So you notice that the Chinese people, their faces are a bit narrower and rounder and all of that. So when you're doing feature mapping on the face or facial recognition, it's going to be a little different. So you're bringing the algorithm, but you're gathering your data sets, your indigenous data sets. And if possible, you're making it solve the problem the way you want it to be solved. So yes, there are layers of artificial neural networks. We get to that. But then you're also tweaking and bringing in things because this is the problem that you're trying to solve. Let's see. So, how does it work? A simple look at the ideas and processes behind intelligent systems. What the artificial intelligence systems do many times is to learn patterns. So whether it be a time series data, that means data that has been collected for many years, the same kind of data, are we together? Good. And then you find out that if you're doing a rough chart of the data, there is going to be some kind of trend. Either it's going upwards, or it's coming down, or it's sinusoidal, it's going up and coming down. Are we making any sense? Okay, so there is always a pattern or a trend. Now, if the data is so noisy that it's difficult to find a trend, then many times the statisticians have to deal with the noise. So that's how these systems work. They recognize patterns. So for instance, you want to tell an artificial intelligence system to be able to recognize dogs, then you must have pictures of all sorts of dogs. And these are going to be kept in the system. And then you have the algorithm being pre-trained. So every time you bring in a new photo of a dog and it correctly identifies it, you give it a thumbs up, it knows it did well. Now, if you did not do well, there's a feedback. Nobody else is doing that. It is the human being that is doing that. Oh, on this was actually a dog, but it classified it as a cat. And then it learns. So most artificial intelligence systems are learning systems. And they learn based on the data that we give to it. So it still goes back to the same thing, garbage in and garbage out. So that is why we are going to be, big on critical thinking, design thinking, and all the aspects of the human part that we need to bring into play. Yes, of course, you can throw your data on the AI and say, please, can you pick out outliers for me? It's possible to do that. But you also need to be able to interpret what an outlier is. Am I making sense? So let me give you a typical scenario. So some health workers went to Dubai to collect data on people. And then you notice that for age, you saw 120. And then another one you saw 80. Now, in the first place, what about building systems? Should build them in such a way that some of these validations can be done at the entry level. Are we together? For instance, if I'm asking for age, I shouldn't take a value, for instance. You shouldn't type in an alphabet. Your system should speak that back to you. That's the job. That's your job. That's the job of the person that is building the system, that validation at that point. But for whatever reason, some of these ages have come and they look really, be like outliers. Okay? There are two things to do. You get back to the chew or whoever it is that feed that system. Was it a typo error? No. And that's why every entry in the back end must have a survey, script, either a questionnaire or whatever it is that was collected. You go back to the records and verify. That is how AI and humans work at that point. So what goes in is going to be data that has been cleaned. And that cleaning effort comes from you. Recently, I had the privilege to train statisticians in the States, and we have very messy data. And for one local government area, like Akpa Buyo, you would have APA, AKPU in lowercase, you could have some in uppercase, you could have some spells all together. So Akpa Buyo alone would have up to 10 different entries. Not making any sense. Sure. At the point of keying in, people are just keying in, where are you from? You key, who are you from? Southern Calabar or Calabar South in lowercase or Calabar South, because it was a questionnaire that you wanted people to make free entry into it. And then the data comes to you. And then that copy alone is in several different places. So the first thing to do is to sit down and clean. So you now dictate and you have your script. So I want Aquabio to be Aquabio spelled in full, the first word in capital and the rest in lowercase. And that cleaning has to be done. By the time you finish and feed it back into the statistical system, you'll see that Aquabio just has no entry. That cleaning has to be done by the human being. Am I making sense? Cross River State. Some come Cross River. I mean, that's the way the form was built. If the form is built in such a way that it's a drop down, okay, that people can choose, it's easier. But there are some things that you can't have a drop down. The list is almost exhaustive. And then there are some times that you just want people to be free about what they are doing. They don't do a certain analysis or whatever it is you want to do. So AI works with patterns and trends and whatever it observes from the data. Whether the data is textual data, the data is graphical data, or whatever data it is, there has to be trending and all of that. So, the AI family, the umbrella, you probably heard a lot. Now we've talked about artificial intelligence. That is the broad area, right? Okay. And then, as a subset of artificial intelligence, we have machine learning. Okay? So, machine learning is where you are training data because you want to make prediction or prescription. You bring a lot of data into the system. Now remember that when you're doing machine learning, you're not explicitly programming the system as we do normal programming. But what you're doing is that you're making the system learn from the data. That's machine learning. There are different aspects of machine learning. You can have supervised learning, you can have unsupervised learning, you can have reinforcement learning. Okay? Reinforcement learning is what I just mentioned. When the system does something good, we tell it that's correct, you reinforce it. If it does something bad, there's a penalty. Alright? Good. So that is machine learning. And then from machine learning, we have another subset that is called deep learning. Now, deep learning is an aspect of artificial intelligence where the system mimics the human brain. And the guys that do all the work in the human brains, the neurons. So you have it called artificial neural networks. It is in the area of deep learning that you have what? Artificial neural networks. Okay? So you have different types, convolutional neural networks, and most of the MSc students or PhD students, they pick some of these existing networks and they use it to make the analysis. For instance, we had some cancer data. Of course, when that data comes, there had to be an ethical approval, first of all, before data is even given to you. And then this data has to be anonymized. And then after that, we have to make sure that the data is cleaned and then put in a way that the systems can actually read it. And then we have to augment the data because sometimes you need to feed these systems with a lot of data. The more data you have, the better it is. And sometimes you're not going to have that much data from a hospital. So you need to do augmentation, feed the data, and all of that. And then you begin to train the models. Because at the end of the day, what you're building is a model, a mathematical model, a black box model for you. It's just a tool that the input goes into it and then it comes out. So we have artificial neural networks. And now we're talking about large language models, generative AI, where they are creating something new. Put together a new song, a new photo. A lot of our children do that. They just tell Gemini, please take my face, don't change my face, or change my hairdo, change the color of my dress. I like the dress, but I don't like the color. So please change the color. I look a little short. I don't like being short like this. Can you make me a little taller? And all of that. At the end, you're enhancing yourself. I hope that your mother still recognizes you at the end of the day. Okay. And then people creating new music, new poetry, new systems, new projects. new letters. So that a lot of us are actually creating something new. If you cooperate with the artificial intelligence systems, it's possible to create something that is new but humanized. It's new, has your touch. So you want to write a story about the people of Bakassi local government area. You don't just go to A and say, write me a story about Bakassi people. Wow. No. You probably give it some history about Bakassi people, tell it its role first of all, numbers, you tell it how to tell the story. You can even give it quotes that you want to be reflected in the story. I want, this to be quoted in this story. This was actually said by our chief then and all of that. It will take a lot of your input to bring the story the way you want it. And of course, you can give it a word limit. This is how many words I want. Because at the end of the day, you want to pick that as your draft. And that is where your work starts. Students, did you hear me? That's not where your work ends. A lot of you, that is where it ends. You just print it and go and submit it to the bloody lecturer. Later go without trouble. But that is actually where your work starts. You look at every line and then own it. So that when someone reads it, there's a way I write. There's a way my slides look. There's a way I sing. So people can look at that work and still find you inside it. Are we still together? Yes. So that's where generative AI is, where you're creating something new. Of course, out of something that is already existing. You can take it, an old Afro beat and say, this Afro, I want you to add a bit of reggae to it and, put this kind of rhythm and all of that. And it's going to create for you a new kind of song. All right? You can even give it the wordings of the song that you want. And at the end of the day, on your mother's birthday, she said, when did you start singing like this? So you know how to sing. Because of generative AI. So that's the family of artificial intelligence systems that we are dealing with. That's machine learning. I already talked about it, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. No, this is for people that like to code, want to be able to program. We're saying that there are few programming languages before we start using the tools. Now, these things come in several layers. Are we together? There are tools that we use, like your Perplexity, like your Cloud, like your ChatGPT, like your Gemini, like your, can you mention, your Meta. Those are what? Tools. Are we together? But they are programming languages for people who want to build tools. So you want to build something like Gemini tomorrow. You want to build it in Pidgin English. I have an MSc student who is building a robotic arm and is using sign language. And intends to combine Pidgin English, but then we just find out that the lexicon of Pidgin English is not standardized. Because every language, you must be able to find the schema, the meta language that describes the language. I don't think there are people in the arts here. They give us hope that they are working on some of those things, on production rules and all these languages. And so that's a different level. When you want to build a tool that you want to deploy in the market, somebody tomorrow will go to Apple Store and find your tool. Yes. So this is for you. For people that want to go the extra mile to build systems, want to build an app, or you want to have AI embedded in the app. Are we together? Okay. So like something that reminds your mother about when to take her medicine, right? A personalized assistance and all of that. So little things that are not necessarily present as it were in the current market. Are we together? Because that's the essence of the things that we are learning. So we're looking at systems and we are not satisfied. I used a couple of learning management systems. That's LMS. There's Moodle, there's Blackboard. They're all beautiful. But I intend to build my LMS one day. It might take a bit of time. I want an average African student to feel comfortable using it. You can have some notes, download some notes, even in Pigeon. You can convert it. I like the elderly. I like to be able to translate a lecture notes from English to Ibibio, my dialect, because I want to encourage girls in my village to go to school. That is if some of them don't still read Ibibio. Am I making sense? Because now our children are so alien to our natural language. We call that natural language. So for people that want to operate at that level, where you want to build systems, Python is a programming language, just like C++, just like C Sharp, just like QBasic in back in the day. They're like Fortran back in the day. So these are languages that programmers or developers use. So just like you have to travel to the Ukraine and you have to learn the language, if you want to begin to develop, you have to learn a programming language. And sometimes you have to learn more than one. So you hear people say, I'm a full stack developer. Because when you're programming, you have to consider the front end, the UI UX experience, how the person interacting with the system is going to interact with the system. That's the front end. Am I boring you? And then the back end, what does the database, what does the logic and all of the work. So this is a stack of libraries, not just the entirety of Python, libraries that you can use. We have pandas, so you can call your sheets, your Excel worksheet, your CSV files, you can load them. We have NumPy. NumPy is known for numerical strength, for calculations. We have scikit-learn for building models. We have TensorFlow for people that do deep learning. Somebody said, I use TensorFlow, I built it using TensorFlow. And then you have PyTorch. So all of these are different libraries. A library is a collection of programming units that help the programmer to build systems, new systems. So this is for those of you that want to do that. And don't forget, there is always a cycle to this thing. There is a way that things are done. First of all, you need to do what? Get the data. Remember, garbage in, your data has to be correct. Your data has to be representative. My students are doing final year projects, and then you want to test, whatever system it is that you're building for the faculty. You're building a beta relational system. Students are building all sorts of stuff these days. Okay? And then the only person that has tested it is you and your roommate. That means the data that you gathered is just from your room. No. The statisticians will have a fight with you. Is that sample that you're using, is it representative of your population? So when you're gathering data, you should also take note of that. For the filmmakers, please, let's have films that represent, the poor Nigerians too. Every person don't hammer for movie. They live for big house, drive big motor, marry big wife. And you're wondering, is this the reality in the current Nigerian system where your people can barely feed? So come back home and tell the stories of our grandmothers, and tell the stories of the poor people in Southern Calabar that are striving to learn but still doing right, because they are upholding morality. Okay, so I'm simply saying that when you gather data, be sure that your data is representative of the population that you're trying to model. Are we together? You're trying to join Elon Musk and you're building a driverless car. It's a lot of work. You have to test it on every kind of road in this Nigeria. You will go to Lagos to work in Lagos because the framework of the road, the topology of the roads are different. The roads in Abuja are different. And then you tested it and the car was working in Abuja. Bring it to Calabar to the road. And I can bet you that car will not be able to go because it's on the fact of the smoothness of the road, the things around it, and all of that. So make sure that the data that you're getting is not just correct, but it's enough. Tell somebody, make sure your data it is enough. You want to solve the cancer problem, and the only hospital you want to get data is UCTH. No. data from the platform. Let me have 3 people respond. Averagely, what do you do with your Cloud or Gemini or Copilot or whatever system you use? Please.
I do researches.
Okay, researches. Okay, like
I can get to ask questions like how does testosterone work in the body?
okay, you are a medical student.
No, I'm a music student.
Okay. So how does testosterone work in the body? Wow. Okay. Okay, someone else. Don't be shy. You're using it for fashion. Say it. Yes, please.
I need the background of
Wow. Okay. The background of AI. So you're asking here, can you tell me the background of AI as beautiful? So that's still knowledge. Yes, please.
still research.
Okay, still research. Okay, wow.
What I do is let's say I'll give you a prompt. Human being, I don't take a kind of computer slash, I put a lot of then ask to what I want. Okay, that's how I
I like that. Okay. So for you, it's for research too. Okay, that means we need to do this research case study. I saw some other hands behind. Yes, please. So nobody's using AI for music or for printing dresses, stories. Okay, to create new stories. Okay.
now prompts on the areas you want to explain.
Okay.
If it is an epic story, you also prompts
Okay.
and it's going for.
Okay.
Just give it what you want.
That's
And it may not be exactly what you want.
This kind of system, right? Because I need to do LM. Okay, so I'm just trying to find out my audience, but I think that's what we're going to Wow. Okay, no, to generate the volume of data that you need for serious analysis. I was just curious. Okay. Did you give it specific features that you wanted?
I have the templates.
Awesome. You know, you can actually upload that template to Copilot. Beautiful. Good. Thank you. Let's give him a clap too. You can clap better than that, I think. My physical assistant, this is not an AI assistant here. Okay. But you know that I can get a robot to help me do it. Or not even a robot, I can actually do it. So at the sound of my voice, once I say next, it just pushes to the next. I can build an agent that can do that. Will somebody take that challenge and build me that agent? Okay, so we're saying that in practice, so that's why I needed to know our fields. In practice, we can use, now remember that we're talking about users, collaborators, creators of AI systems. Are you with me? Yes. So we want to go from just being users, normal end users, to becoming collaborators, to becoming co-creators, and to becoming builders of AI systems. So I want to, in the future, now my music brother, I want to see that he has built, an app, an AI app, and it's on Play Store. People can download and you can also make money. That actually picks indigenous music, tones and frames or whatever it is, and produces music. That could be an idea. So every idea can actually become a product. Every idea, every workflow, normal things you do at work. Oh, I'm a teacher, like I said, I want a good learning management system. I want something that can translate, while my mother is sitting here, I want to be able to probably sing her, some text in English. She likes reading video so well. And then at the back end, it's translating to Ibibio. Not just translating to Ibibio, it's reading it out for her. It's reading it out. There's a voice over on the other end that is reading. Oh, mommy, I miss you. Exactly. Okay, so we have different tools in different areas of our lives. And what we want to do eventually is to solve problems, improve decisions, boost productivity, and create content. So whether it's in education or in healthcare or in business, or in agriculture, you can actually find your use cases. So that's the opportunity map. I'd like you to take a look at this opportunity map and then find a niche for yourself. If you're a student, of course, by the course that you're studying, that already has established a niche for you. Okay? If you're an entrepreneur, like she is, a serial entrepreneur, okay, what you do, what brings that extra money to you, has already put you in a niche. Am I making sense? If you're a lecturer, you know, what you lecture, what you teach, has put you in a niche too. Alright? If you work for the government, depends on the kind of work that you do, that has put you in a niche. If you're a nurse, that has put you in a niche too. I'd like to ask a few people, what do you do? Beautiful. What subject do you teach? Wow. Wow. How do you think AI would help you be a better administrator? What is that job that you do that is so monotonic? You don't just like that aspect so much, or you wish you had some help.
Okay, basically, I use it for organization. I use it to, organize the school, what's supposed to be where, who does what. So it helps me, like a scheduler, and if there's any care of anything, it helps me to put it into place.
Does it come to a point that it sends you reminders?
Exactly, just that. So if there's any problem, it's more like, okay, this is what you're supposed to do today. Can we do it this way? To be better. So if I have any problem, I ask it.
Do you use calendar? The software app calendar, you can use it.
I'm not getting to that.
Okay. Next person, please. Sorry, sweetheart, please. So she's an administrator. So your niche there is education, I guess. Yes, please. What's your niche?
Yeah.
Head girl.
Healthcare.
Yeah, oh, really? Healthcare. Nurse, doctor, shoe, undergraduate student in physiology or school of health tech. Nursing. Really? Oh, beautiful nurse. You're not proper. So, can you come from that? Yeah, we should injection in the eye. So, how do you think AI can help you as a nurse?
When I ask a question, quickly give me my answers.
Like, what kind of questions do you ask?
Like how to inject injections and how all the answers.
Oh, yeah. I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering, is he using me as his help? Okay, that's good. Can I have a few more niches? So we have education, we have healthcare, a few more niches. Yes, please. Yes, please. Or domains, whatever you want to call it. Okay, you want the microphone. Okay, you speak first.
Let me start on the easy protocol, please. I'm a lecturer in the University of Calabar,
Calvin and colleague, yes.
and I'm not even in the media. I'm in environmental education, but I do movies.
The film producer. Let us shout it. Film producer. You cannot hide, man.
I've seen it, I've seen a couple of her movies.
Yes, she makes you.
Yeah.
Big films, though.
Big films.
Ah.
You see that? I try to hide.
Yes.
So I use AI a lot in research. I do a lot of publications, and most of the just like you said something, like AI will give you something that does not exist. Actually use Gemini, and Gemini has come to know me as Agnes of your lecturer in environmental education. So whatever I prompt, it will tell me, since you are in this field, let me give you this. So what I do is I give the prompt what I actually want. Then I use that to develop whatever I want to develop. So that's exactly what I do. Then in the movie sector, I actually also use it to see how I can relate to it. the crew members. Because I'm not totally the technical, I'm not in the technical aspect of it. I have the director, somebody that is in the educational technology. So he does most of the technical aspect of it. I also have most of my crews are even here. Most of my crews are here. That's brothers, we have worked together with good brothers and carnival. So I do most of getting to know humans and working with them to actually create a enabling environment for the crew members and the app and the cast. So that's what I do. But mostly I use it for my research. Well, thank you very much.
So we're going to do a generic, thank you, please. Can you clap for her? We're going to do a generic, so generic hands-on, basically on research and correct prompting. But after that, I'm going to break you into groups. I want you to wow me. So take note of, you can take a snapshot of this. So the niches we are going to break you into are going to be among this. So if you want to be in education, agriculture, and all of that, let's see how we can, come up with ideas and then think about how we can convert these ideas to products and where AI and of course human assistant comes in. So that's basically what I want to achieve. But first of all, we're all going to together do one hands-on that is going to expose us to proper prompt engineering and then how to gather the kind of articles that you want and save them the right way and then use another AI tool